Hey, I'm Jason Freed from 37 Signals here in Chicago.
Hey Jason, what's been your favorite car that you've ever owned? Whether it's a brand or a specific model?
Right. I think for me, I bought an Aston Martin Vantage, V8 Vantage, a few years ago, and that's probably been my favorite car. It's not like been the best car I've ever had, like technically or anything like that, but there's something about that car. It's handmade. I think it's the most beautiful car, still the most beautiful car on the road, and that's probably been my favorite car.
Jason, what's been your most memorable car experience that you've had ever?
I remember, there's a lot, but the one that kind of sticks out in my head is when I bought my Audi S4, first one, 2001. It was such a big upgrade for me. I had an Acura Integra Type R or something like that. And it was green, it was 4 doors, and I went to the Acura dealer to get it appraised because I was going to sell it, and I really wanted to get a BMW 3 Series. That was what I really wanted. But I went to the Acura dealer, and it turned out to be an Acura Audi dealer, McGrath, in Glenview, I think, here in Illinois. And I went there, and as I was getting appraised, the guy's like, hey, you should check out this S4. I'm like, Audi sucks. I'm like, I don't want to buy an Audi. Like, Audi's just crap. I mean, my friend had an Audi, the Audi 5000. His parents had it. It like killed someone or whatever. So like I don't want an Audi. I'm not gonna use an Audi. Audi's shit. And then he's like, just drive it, you know. And so I drove this S4 2001, which is a 250 horsepower turbo or bi-turbo engine. And it completely blew me away. It was all-wheel drive, it was fast as hell, the interior was great, and it totally opened my eyes to the Audi brand. And I've become a huge Audi fan since. I've had like 3 or 4 Audis since then. And so that moment was the moment that turned me from, first of all, it was a big upgrade, and also turned me on to the Audi brand, which I think over the past 10 years has been sort of the best brand in cars. And so that was the moment it all happened for me.
Jason, what do you think makes a car good?
That's a tough one to answer because there's so many things, but I'll answer it the other way. What makes a car bad, I guess, is maybe a good way to start. Most of the bad car experiences I've had come from rental cars. And I'm wondering, like, what is it about a rental car that makes it bad? And typically, it's not so much the exterior. It's mostly, for me, it's the interior in cars. That's where you are most of the time. And you get into a car and you turn the key and you start looking around and you start touching things. And a lot of cars, I think, fall flat because the materials that you're touching and the buttons aren't tight and the shape isn't right and it doesn't do what you think it does. And right there, that kind of destroys the experience for me. I don't care what it looks like on the outside. I don't care how much horsepower it has. If it doesn't have the right feel when I'm touching it, when I'm using it, it's just bad. So I guess maybe what makes a car good for me is careful, thoughtful details on the things that I'm actually using all the time. It might be a dial, it might be a switch, it might be a button. The appropriate use of those materials at the appropriate time, the appropriate feel and weight and friction and all those little things, those are the things that I think make cars great. Now, of course, I want a car that looks great and performs great as well. But I've been in some really high performance cars that fall flat on the inside, and when they do that, they just disappoint me. So it's not about 0 to 60 for me, it's about the little details.
You know, based on what's recently happened with the midterm elections, everyone upset with a variety of things, one of which is the bailouts and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about the help that we gave to the car manufacturers?
You know, my opinion's sort of all over the board on this. I don't like the idea of government getting involved in things like private enterprise in that level. But I think in some ways it might be hard to deny the fact that it seems like it was a good thing. GM seems to sort of be back in some way. Ford didn't take any money. But it seems like it did sort of maybe help. I don't know. I don't really know how bad things were. And I think that's part of it. I don't think everyone really knew maybe how bad things were. It seemed like things were really bad and these companies were losing a ton of money. But I don't know the details of how it all worked out. All I know is that regardless of the temporary measures to bail the company out, the U.S. auto manufacturers have to get better quality. Their interiors have to be better. Their exteriors have to be better. All this stuff has to be significantly better in order for it to be sustainable recovery. Because they might be able to be doing, they're giving cars away, so they're selling a lot of cars. But once they can't give those discounts anymore, what are they going to do? And the competition from Japan is strong. Germany is strong. The Koreans, Kia and Hyundai, incredibly good cars now, super low priced and good. Like the U.S. manufacturers have to be better than all those if they want to really continue to make a great name for themselves.
Okay, so everybody's looking into hybrids and electric vehicles and plug-ins and all this kind of stuff. What's your take on the green movement in the automobile industry?
I'm pretty conflicted there. I think that the move towards hybrids is a good sort of step, but I feel like a lot of it's just marketing, and this is a totally uninformed opinion. More gas mileage is good, higher miles per gallon is definitely a good thing, but I really wonder about like the true impact of this stuff. And long-term disposal of these batteries and all the electricity that's also required to charge this stuff all the time. Like, what's the real cost here? And also, what are people doing? Are they selling cars that get decent gas mileage and then buying a new car that gets slightly better gas mileage? Is that really a good thing? I mean, someone has to produce this new car. These cars aren't produced in super clean factories. They can't be. It's still like cars. It's still a lot of stuff going on, a lot of materials and energy required to move the cars and build the cars. And it's just like, I think if you're going from like a Ford pickup truck that got like 10 miles a gallon or 50 miles a gallon to something that gets 50 miles a gallon, it makes sense. But to upgrade from something that's decent today to slightly better, I think that move itself is not really that responsible, because it means there's more demand required to build something else that was pretty good in the first place. It's similar to the way people are converting buildings. We're currently in our office here, and our office is an old factory, old brick and cement factory building. Some people are tearing buildings down to rebuild green buildings. I mean, that doesn't make sense when you already have a building that's been here for 100 years instead of retrofitting it. So I think it's sort of a similar thing where you have to really think about what's the true cost of all this stuff and if it really makes sense or not. I don't really know yet.
What's your view on dealership experience?
Oh man. Some of the worst purchasing experiences I've ever had have been in a car dealer. And it's also some of those expensive purchases I've ever made. So the separation between price, expectation, and actual final delivery is so different. It's such a terrible thing. I don't understand why it's so bad. I mean, I can walk into a store and buy a microwave and feel better about that than spending 50 grand on a car that I'm going to have for 5 years. It's just wrong, and I don't know where it comes from. I mean, maybe it's I don't actually know. I mean, I have had some good experiences. When I bought the Aston Martin, I found that experience to be really good. And let me tell you why it was actually good. No pressure, a very spacious dealership, test driving the car without the salesperson in the car with me, just complete trust. You're here to buy a nice car, we're going to trust you, which is not what I feel when I go drive other cars. I have to go with the dealer. It's always a weird experience. I feel like I'm not trusted. I feel like I need to be careful. All these things that don't make me feel comfortable. It's a very similar feeling that when you go to Home Depot and you buy something and they check your receipt on the way out, you feel like a criminal. And I feel that way sometimes when I go to car dealers, not like a criminal, but as someone who shouldn't be trusted. And so the best experiences I've had in car dealerships have been experiences where the dealer trusts me, the salesperson trusts me, and that makes such a huge difference for me when I actually buy a car.